The premise feels wrong the moment you examine it, because they do, they have, and the history of what actually happens when large predators encounter sleeping humans is far stranger and more unsettling than the comfortable myth suggests. But here is what is genuinely true and genuinely fascinating. Given how many humans sleep outdoors across how much of the planet, across how much of history, the number of predator attacks on sleeping people is remarkably low. Not zero, not rare enough to be statistically insignificant, but low enough that it demands an explanation. Because by pure logic, a sleeping human should be the easiest possible target a predator could encounter, immobile, unaware, defenseless, unable to fight back or flee. Everything a predator looks for in prey should be present in a sleeping person. And yet most of the time, nothing happens. The first part of the answer is fire, and it is older than almost anything else in the human story. The earliest controlled use of fire by human ancestors dates back roughly 1 million years at Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. Fire did not just cook food and extend the useful hours of the day. It fundamentally restructured the relationship between humans and every predator that shared our environment. A campfire creates a perimeter. Inside that perimeter, large predators almost never venture. Not because fire itself causes them pain. A predator willing to absorb some discomfort could certainly cross a small fire line, but because fire in the wild is associated with something predators understand instinctively: danger, unpredictability, things that burn. Leopards, lions, hyenas, wolves, every major predator that coexisted with early humans had been shaped by millions of years of evolutionary history in which fire was an uncontrollable force capable of destroying entire landscapes in hours. An animal that approached fire casually did not survive. An animal that maintained cautious distance from fire lived to reproduce. The result, encoded across millions of predator evolution, is a deep inherited wariness of open flame that operates almost regardless of context. The fire does not need to be large. It does not need to be actively burning high. The smell of smoke, the flicker of light, the heat signature, all of it triggers an avoidance response that runs below conscious predator decision-making. For 300,000 years of human prehistory, humans slept near fire, not by accident, by design. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented that fire maintenance through the night is treated as a genuine survival priority. Someone in the group is almost always at least partially awake, feeding the fire, keeping the perimeter intact. The fire was not just warmth or light, it was the wall between sleeping humans and everything outside the circle of light. But fire is only part of the answer, because even in situations without fire, predators frequently avoid sleeping humans, and the reasons for that go deeper into predator psychology than most people realize. Large predators are not simply hunger machines that attack any available prey. They are highly sophisticated risk calculators. Every predator that has survived long enough to reproduce has done so by carefully managing the energy equation of hunting. Calories gained from a successful kill must exceed calories spent in the hunt, plus the risk of injury, which for a wild predator is potentially fatal. A broken leg, a punctured lung, a deep gash from a struggling prey animal, any serious injury can mean starvation within days. Predators are acutely aware of this. They are selective, they are cautious, and they have learned over millions of years which prey animals are worth the risk. Humans, even sleeping ones, present a genuinely unusual risk profile. We are not like any other prey animal a predator has encountered. We are bipedal, which means our body proportions are strange, and our movement when we wake and rise is unlike anything in the predator's learned prey library. We have no fur, which means there is no reliable scent signature that matches a known prey species. We carry tools, which even the most experienced predator cannot fully assess the danger of while approaching a sleeping figure in the dark. We are social animals that sleep in groups, meaning attacking one member of the group risks triggering a response from others. And we have a history, encoded into predator behavior through thousands of years of being hunted back, of genuinely being dangerous when provoked. A 2021 study examining lion attack patterns across sub-Saharan Africa found that lions were significantly more likely to attack humans during the 2 weeks following the new moon, when nights were darkest. This seems counterintuitive until you understand what it reveals about predator decision-making. Lions were not attacking sleeping humans opportunistically. They were making calculated decisions based on their own visual advantage. In total darkness, a lion's visual superiority over humans is at its maximum. The attack was being chosen as a moment of optimal predator advantage, not triggered by the opportunity of a sleeping person alone, but by a convergence of conditions that tilted the risk calculation in the predator's favor. This is the key insight. Predators do not avoid sleeping humans because of any mystical aversion or because sleeping humans are somehow less appetizing. They avoid them because the risk calculation usually does not work out. A sleeping human near a fire, in a group, with tools nearby, with other humans who might wake, that is a genuinely uncertain target for an animal whose survival depends on not getting injured. The cases where predators do attack sleeping humans reveal the exceptions that prove the rule. The most famous example in recorded history is the Tsavo lion attacks of 1898, in which 2 maneless male lions killed an estimated 35 workers, many of them in their tents while sleeping, during the construction of a railway bridge in Kenya. The Tsavo lions had overcome the normal predator hesitation through a combination of factors. They were operating in an area with severely depleted prey populations. They had learned through initial successful attacks that humans in tents were approachable and killable without significant risk. And critically, once a predator learns that a specific prey type is accessible and low risk, it updates its internal risk model. The behavior that follows is not instinct, it is learned. It can spread. The Tsavo lions were not anomalies in their species. They were 2 individual animals who had solved a problem and kept applying the solution until someone stopped them. This is perhaps the most unsettling part of the real answer. The thing that protects sleeping humans from predator attack is not some innate animal aversion, it is a learned risk calculation that exists in a fragile equilibrium. The moment that calculation shifts, through prey depletion, through habituation, through an initial successful attack that updates the predator's model, the protection dissolves. Villages in India, Nepal, and parts of sub-Saharan Africa where tigers, leopards, and lions have become habituated to human prey document this in devastating detail. A single predator that discovers humans are accessible can develop into a dedicated man-eater whose attack pattern specifically targets sleeping or stationary humans because that is where the risk calculation most consistently favors the predator. What truly protects sleeping humans at scale is not any innate biological or instinctual barrier. It is the accumulated weight of human dominance over every ecosystem we have ever occupied. Predators in areas with sustained human presence learn that humans are dangerous, unpredictable, and not worth the risk. That learning is cultural, passed between individual animals and reinforced by the consistent consequence of attacking humans, which is usually death. Remove that consequence through habitat loss, prey depletion, or the removal of human presence itself, and the learned caution erodes surprisingly quickly. The forest goes quiet when you walk through it, not because animals find you frightening in some abstract sense, but because your species has spent 300,000 years making the cost of not being afraid of us extremely clear. That lesson has been absorbed into predator behavior across the planet at every level: instinctual, learned, cultural, generational. When you sleep under the stars and nothing comes for you in the night, it is not because the darkness is safe. It is because everything in the darkness already knows what happens when it gets too close to one of us.